So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our video of Rahu and Ketu transit in 2022. Because in March of 2022, as you know, Rahu is going to be transiting from sign of Taurus to the sign of Aries. And Ketu is going to be transiting from the sign of Scorpio to the sign of Libra. Okay, so what are the situations and specific things that Rahu and Ketu will bring about, which are pretty much known as north node of the moon and south node of the moon? And as always, if you do not know what your planetary placement is, where Rahu and Ketu will be transiting from your ascendant or the moon, for that, check out the links here. Check out my full astrological report, including my books, consultations, and link to my academy, Vedic Astrology Academy, where you will find all my courses on astrology, including my KRS vlogs, where I've actually put 2 videos on 2022 horoscope, discussing things that, of course, you can discuss now, on certain main platforms. Now, like I was just saying, looking at Rahu Ketu from your ascendant and the moon. Well, with Rahu Ketu, most definitely you want to look at their transit from the moon. Why? Because they are the nodes of the moon. We call them the nodes of the moon. So it's imperative that we look where they're going to be transiting from the moon. From your meaning, you take the moon of your birth chart and you switch that chart to make moon the ascendant, meaning moon is on the first house and you're looking at all the planets from there. And then Rahu Ketu transit, ascendant, it is seen. And like I made my video last week about what people should be, where certain people should be looking at their chart from the ascendant, some from the moon. So if between the ascendant and the moon, whichever one holds the lowest degree, you will look at the planetary placements from that chart, including the transit, because you will see they have a much more dramatic impact in your life versus if you go towards the other. It'll have impact, but not as significant as the other one. So see which one has a lower degree between your ascendant degree and the moon degree. Okay, so Rahu is coming into the sign of Aries. Now, what interesting thing about Aries is, it is the first zodiac sign. It is the life force. Okay, it is the fire that gave birth to the soul. But there's something very subliminal and very important regarding Rahu here, actually, in Aries. What is the symbol of Aries? If you look at just, like you see the symbol of planets, like sun is the circle with the dot in the middle, represents the sun. If you look at all the zodiac sign symbols, Aries is like this straight line and the 2 horns of the ram are coming above. What does that signify? Can you think of symbolism wise and from an artistic perspective, what does that symbol represent? Well, how about the tongue of the serpent? Not the venomous teeth. The serpent brings its tongue out. What does the tongue look like? It's a straight little thin muscle with a divide at the end. So Aries represents the tongue of the venom, the mouth of the venom, right? Because this life, in a way, is a poison. We are here to intoxicate that poison so we can burn this poison and actually evolve to something higher. And the reason why life represents poison is because of the entertainment and the joy life brings. The number one pleasure, which is the sexual pleasure of reproduction, food pleasure, pleasures of the body, the beauty of the body, the seduction of the body. And naturally, this life represents the pleasure of wealth. Okay, the material wealth. because material wealth is physical. Aries is a physical sign because it represents the physical body itself. So now you're bringing the dragon back to home. You're bringing the serpent back to home. So what will this signify? Well, the first thing that you will see with this particular thing is that a lot of individuality comes out. Now you will see most people, because we are all going to be under this umbrella. And funny, I say that Rahu represents umbrellas. We're going to be in this umbrella of Rahu, regardless of where it's transiting in our chart. And this particular umbrella is going to make us get away from a group type thinking, wanting to attain something for the group, to now attaining for oneself. You will see in Rahu's transit, a lot of people will be focused on health and fitness, especially fitness, sculpting one's body. You will see people even focusing on or attaining miraculous healing, because Rahu represents that tantric magic like Ketu. Aries is health. People will be drawn towards that other side of health, other side of attaining a better, sustenance to your body. Especially during Rahu in Aries, many people will also deal with psychological issues. Why? Because imagine the sign of Aries as being the first house. Rahu coming into that first house, the first sign. Whenever you will see Rahu and Ketu in the 1-7 axis or 4-10 axis, it can produce psychological issues. Now, why are these psychological issues coming? Think about it. What can make someone attain psychological issues? It's always the external influences. It's always the external influences. And because Aries represents that physical body, people will look for external influences to either influence their body or having the body and their physical self influence others. Meaning a person becomes engrossed in wanting to attain attention of the others. When they can't, they feel down, they feel depressed. It's like, imagine the serpent, which is now in the sky as this illusionary thing, finally gets a body, right? Finally gets a body. So now when you have that serpent in a physical form, it really wants to mesmerize others. It wants to instill fear into others. It wants to hypnotize others. So you will see the influence and the hypnoticness from the world that people get, which nowadays especially represents like mainstream media, social media. It gets bombarded. Now you're trying to mold yourself. Because it's 2021 and not 2000, it would be different. If I would be speaking different tone in 2000, 21 years back, 22 years back actually. But now, because of these noises around us, we're always trying to mold ourselves. Where can we fit? How do we fit? And we lose our physical self of who we are, trying to mold ourselves to become, to impress this part of the group, to impress that part of the group. This is why I have actually seen many times when I've done like readings of people, let's say, who go into modeling. You will find like Rahu in Aries, Rahu in first house. Why? Because they have that ability to hypnotize through their body, perfecting one's body, obsession towards body. And if that obsession stick to this physical self, it's the end game is a zero-sum game. You will not gain anything out of it. Because these planets, these grahas, are here to teach the lessons. They're trying to tell you that, yeah, you're going to be focused too. I want you to focus too much on it. So later on, you realize how unimportant this part was. Because instead of focusing on your external self, you need to be awakening the serpent within. That's the main goal of this Rahu. It's to awaken the serpent within, because the physical self is Aries, and the physical self truly is not the hands or the legs. Do you know what it is? It is the spinal cord and the head. That is your physical self. If you didn't have your head or the spine, you would be nothing. You would be nowhere. That is your body. And guess what? That is the serpent. The spine is the tail of the serpent. Head becomes the head of the serpent, which is where Kundalini rises from. So this is why it's important, especially for the youth, to focus on who you are. Self-inquiring of within, not external. This is the reason why, Aries' particular placement of Rahu deludes a person into going for something that has zero meaning. And that's what brings in depression. That's what brings in those psychological issues. One is too influenced by every noise around it. And because the serpent is so flexible, you're always trying to flex your body in one way or the other. You pretty much end up becoming a pretzel. So the biggest lesson here is to focus on the body, but the internal body. Not the Anname Kosha, but the Praname Kosha, Manname Kosha. Okay? And there's also Dhyaname Kosha. Those are the type of bodies you want to be focused on. The other thing you will also see with this particular Rahu is, first of all, everybody is going to want to accomplish everything fast at 100 miles an hour. You're going to see a lot of people, especially because Rahu represents the upcoming generation. See, Ketu represents the past generation. Rahu represents the upcoming generation, especially people born in 2000 to 2010. Okay, because they're now becoming teenagers, they're now growing up. And this is the particular moment where such group of people have to be very focused and attentive as to where their priorities have to be. But especially this young group of people, you will see, because Rahu represents delusion and sometimes even falsehood, you will get many people, you will see, will be invited to something. Invited to either some party, some conference, something. But either they will lose something there, or it would have not existed and they thought they were invited to it and they will feel rejected. That itself will bring a lot of mental, animosity within them, stress within them, and anxiety within them. So again, Rahu in Aries, you'll get invited to a lot of fake opportunities, fake organized, events. And you have to be the one now discerning. This is where discernment comes into play. The Mercury comes into play. Should I be going or should I not be going? You also see people being fed up with dealing with rules, regulations, policies around them. Why? Because at one point, Rahu is going to transit into the nakshatra of Bharani. Okay? It's going to be in Kritika first, which is what I've been talking about, but it comes into Bharani. Who else is on Bharani right now? For the next year and a half or 2 years, I believe. Uranus. Uranus is in Aries in Bharani Nakshatra. You're bringing two energies together. You're bringing two similar energies together. Why? Uranus is the only planet that is tilted. Okay? on its axis, completely tilted, and rotates in the wrong way, goes around in the wrong way. It's an outcast planet. It actually represents Rahu in a way. And then Rahu, as you know, is the exact same energy. It is the unorthodox outcast energy. Both are coming together. Both in Bharani. So imagine if certain law is written in a very nice way. Rules, regulations that you've been following are written in a certain way. And you're like, yeah, makes sense. These two are going to turn it upside down and say, no. These are now wrong rules. The wrong rules now become right. And this is also something that people will be dealing with. Now, why would you deal with it? What makes you deal with it? Well, it makes you deal with it if you're too engrossed into this world. If you think you're in this world and you're off this world, then you absolutely get caught up in it. But the moment you say to yourself that I'm in this world, but I'm not of this world, the only rule and regulation law that I want to follow is that divine law, the law of the consciousness. And again, even though I'm saying this, 99% of the people watching this will still fall into that trap because it's not easy. It's not even easy for me. I have to fight my way to get out of certain mentality, to get out of, certain views of this world. And why does it help me to get out of it? Again, my spiritual practices and sadhanas. That's where it helps me. And also, while Rahu is in Kritika side, obviously it can bring in a lot of forest fires. You will also see a lot of people focusing on even martial arts. Wanting to, even going for fitness, one will go for, let's say, mixed martial arts training. A lot of people become on edge. Literally the first 6-7 months of this particular transit of Rahu, people are on edge. They are like, you can't say this because what I'm saying is right. Everybody just becomes critical of their own view. They have no desire to listen to any view. You will cut somebody else's view, and this is where you will see a lot of people also becoming very critical of anything and everything. If, let's say, for example, Rahu transits your 7th house, unknowingly you will criticize your spouse. Cut the ego of your spouse with one sentence, because again, it is that venom that will come out. But for whom it doesn't come out is the one who are aware. The one who become aware of this. See, again, our yogis have said, become aware. Awareness is the key to success. Why are they saying this? Because once you're aware of something, then it no longer then bothers you. It can no longer affect you. Like people are afraid of the dark. People are afraid of ghosts. But what if your awareness became so strong that you realize this darkness, you realize this ghostly energy? Yes, they're there. Okay, I recognize this energy. It's there. And I can now understand it. Once you have understood it, that means your awareness was awakened. Now you can go out in the middle of the woods at night and you will not be so afraid and scared. Because it's only the unknown that makes us get caught up into things. Once you are known of it, it no longer bothers you. So it's not an easy task. This is why I said 99% of the people will fall into this trap of Rahu. But again, you got to fight your way by seeking divine guidance, by seeking advice of gurus, meditating. If you don't trust any gurus, just trust the ones who have actually proven themselves. Go read our biography of a yogi. Read about Yogananda. Read about Vivekananda. Seek their guidance. You don't need to have a life guru. Take them as Sadguru. Sadguru is something that has already passed, but their essence is everywhere. Once you take refuge in this, it's amazing how much more comfortable you feel with whatever transits, whatever yogas, whatever dasha you go through, you steer through it. It is as miraculous as I am making out to be. Trust me on that. Okay, I'm not some enlightened soul, but I have, become aware of certain things. I know how amazingly these path works when you put your soul into their, footsteps. Then nothing bothers you. Slowly, slowly, you get rid of those bothering circumstances. Okay. Now, what I will do is, I know I've spoken a lot about Rahu, and it's already late. I will make a separate video to Ketu next. Okay. So hopefully this has given you some information towards this. And as always, if you're new to